Would you believe that one of America's most despised fish is now at the center of a $100 million industry? On the rivers of the Midwest, chaos erupts. Silver torpedoes rocket out of the water, slamming into passing boats with bone-shaking force. Shouts echo across the current. This isn't a movie scene. It's reality on the Illinois and Mississippi rivers. For decades, these fish were branded worthless intruders, devouring plankton, multiplying beyond control, leaving native bass, walleye, and bluegill starving. Locals cursed them as trash fish. But then the question shifted: could a scourge become a source of fortune? The answer, against all odds, is yes. Asian carp were first introduced to the United States in the 1970s. Their job seemed harmless, cleaning algae from catfish ponds in the South. But when floods breached levees in the 1990s, thousands poured into the Mississippi. Within years, populations exploded. One female lays more than 1 million eggs in a season. Some adults tip the scales at over 100 pounds, and they eat relentlessly, up to 1/5 of their body weight in plankton every single day. Surveys revealed staggering results. In stretches of the Illinois River, carp accounted for over 70% of all fish biomass. Out of every 10 fish, 7 were carp, and they weren't stopping. Just 60 miles stood between these invaders and Lake Michigan, the gateway to the Great Lakes, and a multi-billion-dollar fishery on the brink. For years, America fought to push them back. Electric barriers pulsed through channels, nets stretched from bank to bank, shock boats combed the water. Millions were spent, and still the rivers churned silver, nets ripped under their weight. Processors refused to handle them. To most, carp were a curse that couldn't be lifted, until a single breakthrough deal changed everything. A Chinese importer offered to buy entire containers of frozen carp. Uniform, inexpensive, and plentiful, exactly what overseas buyers wanted. Suddenly, fishermen rushed to the water not to burn the catch, but to ice it down. Barges once idle now carried tons of carp toward waiting freezers. In Illinois and Kentucky, riverside towns sprang back to life. This isn't sport, it's combat fishing. Steel boats stretch 80 feet long, powering against the current. Crews roll out nets the size of basketball courts. Sound cannons thunder underwater. The surface erupts. Silver bodies explode skyward like living missiles. Engines scream, men shout, the river boils. Minutes later, nets heave back loaded with 3, 4, even 5 tons of fish. Scales glitter like coins. Decks sag under the weight. Workers in heavy gloves toss fish into bins of ice. Every splash now means money. What was once destruction has become an industry. Year after year, more than 15 million pounds are hauled from the Illinois River alone. At processing plants in the Midwest, trucks unload mountains of fish onto conveyor belts. Cold mist fills the air as blades move in rhythm. Heads are severed scales, stripped meat filleted, and flash frozen with advanced IQF technology. Nothing goes to waste. Bones are pressed for oil skins, processed for leather-like materials, trimmings ground into sausages, cakes, and animal feed. For workers, it's more than a production line. It's steady wages, stable communities, and renewed dignity. Containers 20 tons each seal shut with steel locks. QR codes track every shipment across oceans. What once rotted on riverbanks is now shipped to Asia, Africa, and beyond. In China, carp heads are steamed as delicacies. In Vietnam and Thailand, the meat becomes fish balls and cakes. In West Africa, it's smoked and sold in bustling street markets. Europe experiments with collagen and pet foods. Each container can bring in more than $200,000. Margins climb as high as 30%. Annual exports now exceed 15 million pounds, supporting towns that once saw decline. For international markets, carp is no longer trash, it is treasure. Yet at home, resistance lingers. Americans grew up calling carp muddy bony, unfit for the table. Grocery chains refuse to stock it, chefs hesitate to serve it. Diners wrinkle their noses before the first bite. Illinois tried a bold rebrand, a new name, Kopi, short for copious. Tastings surprised critics. "I thought it was crab cake," one diner admitted. The flesh is firm, white, versatile. But prejudice is stubborn. Marketing campaigns push forward with food trucks and trendy menus, hoping attitudes will shift. Beyond profit, the ecological impact is beginning to show. Carp, once 70% of the biomass, now dip closer to 45 in some river sections. Native species stir back to life. Bass and walleye numbers climb. Water clears. Aquatic vegetation takes root. Eagles circle overhead once more. Revenue from exports is reinvested, restoring banks, replanting underwater grasses, reintroducing native fish. Communities that once despised these invaders now see them funding renewal. The story is clear: a fish once branded worthless is now reshaping rivers, industries, and communities. What began as an ecological nightmare has transformed into an unlikely engine of opportunity. On the water, fishermen who once avoided these rivers now return daily, filling boats with thousands of pounds. In factories, workers carve value from every scale, bone and fillet, proof that nothing need be wasted. Across oceans, global markets hungry for protein welcome what America rejected, turning trash into treasure. But the impact reaches deeper than money. For the first time in decades, the rivers breathe again. Native species slowly reclaim their waters. Aquatic plants rise where mud once smothered, and raptors soar above. Stretches alive with diversity. The balance, though fragile, is shifting, pushed forward by the very invader once feared. For riverside towns, the change is personal. Where unemployment once hollowed out communities, the carp harvest brings jobs, stability, and dignity. Families who once cursed the fish now rely on it to put food on their own tables. The hated invader has become a neighbor, a resource, even a reason to hope. America's most despised fish has become something more, a symbol of resilience, a lesson in reinvention, a reminder that with enough creativity, even disaster can be shaped into renewal. From chaos to commerce, from menace to manager, this is the journey of the carp, proof that survival, profit, and protection can exist side by side. What was once a curse is now a catalyst. And from these rivers, a new story flows, one not of defeat, but of transformation. Subscribe to Truno Farm and join us for the next untold story of how nature, people, and industry collide in ways the world never expects.